Hi, I'm John Scholl, President of Service Quality Institute based in the United States. I'd like to talk a little bit about Remember Me, one of the most important programs that I've created. I've been working now for about 14 years with Teresa and Miguel Cueva, our partners at ESSA Peru. But I think in customer service, to use the customer's name, to recognize the customer, to remember the customer is one of the highest levels of customer service you can provide. I fly all over the world, have been doing it for many years, spend over $100,000 a year on air travel, and 4 times in my life has a flight attendant ever used my name. So regardless of your business, you always should use the customer's name and recognize the customer. There's 3 reasons we don't train people on using the customer's name, and there's 3 reasons why the employee doesn't use it. One is fear. I don't know how to say Scholl, so I'm going to avoid it. The second is I don't care. And the third is a lack of training. We can learn how to pronounce the person's name simply by asking, "Sir, your name is a little bit unusual. Can you spell it for me, please? Or could you pronounce it for me? It's Scholl." Okay, forget the T. "Thank you, Mr. Scholl." Or is it okay if I call you John? It is easy to use the customer's name. Some people pay by credit card. Nobody looks at the credit card to see what the person's name is. When you check into a hotel, how often does somebody look at the name and say, "Oh, Mr. Scholl, it's so nice to have you at our hotel"? It's amazing when people pay by check. When you go to the bank, you can't make a transaction at the bank without them knowing your name. How often does your bank call you by your name? How often do they recognize you? Let's visualize. I had a restaurant, and I bet here in Peru, within 1 mile of every restaurant, there's probably another 20 restaurants. What would happen if every time somebody came in for dinner or lunch or breakfast, somebody would say, "Sergio, it is so nice to see you. Mr. Flores, gosh, I haven't seen you for 2 weeks. Where have you been?" So Remember Me is implemented in 2 sessions of 3 to 4 hours each, spaced 1 week apart. We have beautiful packaged material. We have a facilitator guide so that if you have 5 locations, 10 locations, 200 locations, we can train people at every location to easily, skillfully facilitate the program. We have participant material that builds on the message, reinforces the message. The participant book people use during each of the 2 sessions, and then they read the book in preparation for session 3. We have little technique cards. We have performance standards. We have certificates. 80% of the time is group discussion and group interaction, because our goal is to change attitudes. Our goal is to teach the employee why you got to use the customer's name. How do you use the customer's name? If we could get every one of your employees 100% of the time to recognize the customer, to remember the customer, to use their name, you would crush your competition. You would own the marketplace. We're not talking about spending millions of dollars on advertising or millions of dollars on capital renovation. What we're talking about is a very simple concept. Whether you have 20 employees or 200 employees or 2,000 employees, you want to make sure that every single person has been trained on the skills of why you got to use the customer's name and how you do it. And some serious training. And Remember Me is the only program in the world that teaches people how to use and why you got to use the customer's name. Muchas gracias.